Hi guys, it's me, Tisha Joyce here now from Ama San Pedro. So we're going to talk about the history of universe. It is astronomy of the ancient Greek. So, who is Pythagoras? Pythagoras of Samos was an ancient Ionian Greek philosopher and eponymous founder of Pythagoreanism. His political and religious teachings were well known in Magna Graecia and influenced the philosophies of Plato, Aristotle, etc. So Pythagoras is an ancient Ionian Greek and famous for his Pythagoreanism. And his teaching, political and religious, were well known and influenced the philosophies of Plato, Aristotle, and etc. The astronomy of ancient Greek was mathematician in Greek astronomy sought to create models that could imitate periods of celestial motion. This tradition originated around 6th century before Christ's era with followers of mathematician Pythagoras. So, naniniwala si Pythagoras that everything was related to mathematics and lahat ay could be predicted and measured in rhythmic patterns or cycles. So, as I was saying, Pythagoras is known for his Pythagorean theorem. Also, he has an input in astronomy. By the time Pythagoras, the only visible in our naked eye are Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. So, it was derived from Greek mythology. The names was initially derived from Greek mythology. Planet is Greek term for meaning wanderer. Early Greek astronomers thought that the Venus was two different bodies and assigned name because Venus appears in the eastern sky part of the year as an early morning before disappearing a few weeks later in the evening western sky. So many Greek astronomers thought that the different bodies was Venus and assigned name for them because the Venus appears in the eastern sky part of the year and as early morning disappear a few weeks later in the evening western sky. So, Pythagoras is given credit of being the first one to realize that these two bodies were in fact on the same planet and first one to think that the Earth was round, which was proven later by Aristotle. So, Pythagoras was the one to realize that these two bodies were in fact the same planet, which is the Venus. So, he is the first one to think that the Earth was round, which was proven later by Aristotle. So, morning star is Phosphorus, while Hesperus is evening star. So, many of you were familiar of Aristotle. So, sino nga ba si Aristotle? Aristotle born on 338 to 322. Aristotle was an ancient philosopher and scientist who is considered one of the greatest thinkers in politics, psychology, and ethics. So, Aristotle demonstrated in his writing that he knew that we see the moon by the light of the sun, how the phases of the moon occur, and understand how eclipses work, and also that the earth is sphere. So, in his writing, he knew that nakikita daw natin ang moon sa liwanag ng sun, and there are phases of moon occurs, and he understand how eclipses work, and also the earth is sphere. He also demonstrate that there are constellations visible in the north that cannot see in the south, and vice versa. So there are constellations visible in the south that cannot see in the north either. The related works of earlier Greeks that the earth is center of the universe and the planet moves in circles rejected it and not understand the inertia. Aristotle believed that the object of heavens are perfect and unchanged. So he believed that the internal motion is circular, with a constant speed of motion of the planet must be circular. This came to be called the principle of uniform circular motion. His idea became very important and very popular, that it has incorporated into Catholic Church theology in 12th century by Thomas Aquinas. In early 16th century, Church banned new interpretation of Scripture and banned the ideas of moving earth. So, the principle of uniform circular motion was very popular and very important in Catholic Church. So that they banned new interpretation of Scripture and banned ideas of moving earth. So, let's move on to Claudius Ptolemy. Claudius Ptolemy, born on 90 to 180 Christ era. So, he was the second Greek mathematician, astronomer, geographer, famous for his controversial geocentric theory of the universe. Ptolemy was a citizen of Egypt, which was under Roman rule during his lifetime. A mathematician, astronomer, and a geographer. Theories dominated the world understanding of astronomy for over 1,000 years. So geocentric, which means that the Earth lies in the center of the universe, is believed for over 1,000 of years. So what is Almagest? Almagest is Ptolemy works where he outlined geometrical reasonable geocentric view or Earth-centered of the universe. So he thought that the universe was based on 5 main points. First is the celestial realm is spherical. Second is the celestial realm, moon and circle. Third is the earth is sphere. Fourth is the celestial realm orbit is a circle centered on the earth. Fifth is does not move. So what is retrograde motion? Retrograde motion, the reverse direction movement of planets. At certain times in their orbit, some planet appears to move in the opposite direction of their normal movement. So, retrograde motion is when the reverse direction movement of planets, it is the opposite direction of their normal movement. So, what is geocentric model? Geocentric, as I was saying, geocentric is the stationary Earth lies in the center and all other celestial orbits around it. It was accepted for more than 1,000 years. Nicolaus Copernicus. Nicolaus Copernicus was born in 1473 and died on 1543. Nicolaus was Polish astronomer known as Father of Astronomy. He was the first modern European scientist who proposed that the Earth and the other planets revolve around the sun, or the heliocentric theory of the Earth. So Nicolaus was the father of astronomy, and the first to propose that the Earth is the center. Earth is and other planets revolve around the sun. So the sun is the center of all the other planets. Copernicus wrote his In the Revolution Orbitum Coelestium, or On the Revolution Celestium, or it was completed in 1530 but it wasn't published until he died. So, as you can remember, the Aristotle theory was very important, and that is it incorporated Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church banned new interpretation scripture and banned new ideas. So he didn't want to deal with problems, so he didn't publish his theory, which was heliocentric, which is the sun is the center of the universe, until he was in his deathbed. Who is Tycho Brahe? Tycho Brahe, born on 1546 and died on 1601. He made accurate observation of stars and planets. He studied a new star that appeared in the 1572 showed that it was farther away than the moon and was among fixed stars which were regarded as perfect and unchangeable. Aside from his achievement in astronomy, he was known for his golden looks. So, as you can see here in the picture, he has something on his nose that believed and rumored that it was a prosthesis made of gold or something silver. His first contribution was the detection of correction errors in the standard astronomical table. In 1572, he discovered supernova located in the constellation of Cassiopeia. He built his own instrument without the aid of telescope. He did not accept Copernicus' model of the universe and attempted to combine it with Ptolemaic model but failed, but his observation and that data was superior. Who is Johannes Kepler? Johannes born on 1571 and died in 1630. He is Tycho Brahe's assistant who used Tycho observation to calculate his own law and planetary motion. He determined that the orbit was not circular but elliptical. Kepler discovered that the orbit of Mars was an ellipse. He published Astronomia Nova, delimiting his discovery, which is now called Kepler's first two laws of planetary motion. The first one in Kepler law of motion is orbit or elliptical with the sun at one focus. Equal areas in equal times means planet move faster when near the sun and slowest when far from it. The third is the period T squared is proportional to the semi-major axis AQ. Next one is Galileo Galilei. He born in 1564 and died on 1642. Galileo di Vincenzo Bonauti de Galilei is considered the father of modern science and made major contribution to the field of physics, astronomy, mathematics, and philosophy. He is a very important person in the development of modern astronomy. Galileo did not invent the telescope, but he was the first to turn his telescope to the sky to study the heaven. So his telescope was poorer than ever and cheap is not that good. But he observed heaven and shows errors in Aristotle's opinions. Aristotle's opinion that the Earth is centered and the Earth doesn't move, that it was incorrect. He observed 4 points of light that changed their position around the planets. He concluded that it was the moons in orbit around the Jupiter. He used this telescope to show that Venus, like Moon, went through phases. This is important because it was the first that was consistent in Copernican system. Unfortunately, Galileo challenge of the church authority leads him to trouble and spend his last year in the house arrest. As you can remember, Aristotle's opinion was very popular too, very important, incorporated the Catholic Church. So they banned new interpretation, which was the heliocentric theory. So Galileo spent his last year in the house arrest. Next was Isaac Newton. He born on 1642 to 1727. Built on Galileo's ideas to demonstrate that the law of motion of the heaven is the same as the law of motion of the earth. In his time, astronomy was recognized as a part of physics. Newton gave reason for correction to Kepler's law and demonstrated that the motion of the objects on Earth could be described by the new law of motion when his gravitational force was postulated exists between all masses. So that was it for today's lessons, guys. I hope you have a good day and goodbye.